When I first found out that my dad had MS, it was very intense because I found out after he was in the hospital. So it's not something that we found out and got to sit around a table and have a conversation. It took me about 3 years before I was ready emotionally to do something. It wasn't so much that I felt like I would have an issue of deciding, oh, how do I talk about it? What do I do? I mean, all of that comes once you really allow yourself to start thinking about the project. But it did take me a couple of years to feel emotionally prepared to do the project. I think as an artist, pretty much anytime I go through any emotional experience that's intense, my first thoughts are to make something to talk about it, because that's why I make art, period. I'm always talking about identity and the varying forms that we have as people. I wanted to make a piece that I could show all of these kind of recognizable faces where you can understand that it's the same person, but you can mix and match them because the portraits vary in levels of abstraction. Because the piece is so large, its size overwhelms you just being there. And given the subject that I was addressing, doing something large just seemed the most fitting to get that experience across. So I had the idea for the project, but I knew that I was going to need some funding to make the project happen. I received a grant from the AE Ventures Foundation that was able to support a good amount of the project, and that was really what made it possible to go forward. I was fortunate to work with an artist named Pansum Chang, and he fully engineered the entire cube. When I initially came to him with the idea, he laughed a little bit, as did I, because the notion of making a giant Rubik's Cube is just, it's kind of funny. It's really cool, but you kind of can't help but laugh because you're like, wow, that's really great. But oh my God, we're making a giant Rubik's Cube because it's really complicated.
Because you don't know how to build a Rubik's Cube, right?
Right, I don't even know how to solve one, to be honest. You know, there were young children have seen it and they immediately know what to do with it. They go up to it, they touch it, they spin it, they pull it, they know it's a puzzle, and they're not so fixated on who it is or what it's about, but the interactive part of the piece, which to me was really important. I think, you know, working with the piece physically in this way and interacting with it in that way, again, is an extension of my relationship with my dad now with his condition. First time, that was a really special moment. Yeah, he saw the piece. He just kind of stood there and looked at it. I think at first he felt very much on display, again, because you look at the piece, you look at him, people immediately realize that it was him. And then, you know, there was the moment, shit. You know, we just, I came over and like we hugged because it was really intense. We were both really proud. I mean, I was happy to have done it. I mean, it was a huge kind of, you know, hurdle to get over. Again, it's not like a closing of the chapter because this is a lifelong endeavor. But it was me really addressing it with him publicly. Now, having done this, you know, I want to make other structures that are bigger, that are different, working with different materials. You know, it's a whole new kind of struggle that I have with, you know, working on things that are really large and, you know, again, trying to use different materials, trying to articulate my ideas now in three-dimensional form. Yeah, it's definitely inspired me to go beyond the 2D realm.